That's a good way to start it. So, we're here with Robert Scoble and his son. Patrick is your name?
Yeah.
Right on. So what are you doing here? Just hanging out?
Following my dad around.
Following him around as he cleans out his office?
Well, I'm cleaning out his office.
That's the classic Robert Scoble action right there.
Email,
sitting by the computer. That'd be like a good action figure, right? So you're leaving, Robert.
I am?
Why?
Who told you that?
I heard you're quitting.
Yeah, I did that.
You already did it?
Yeah.
And you don't even have a badge anymore.
No, they took away my badge, man. This is the 30th
we snuck
of
you
June.
in here?
What is the day? Is this the 29th or the
I think it's the 29th.
29th, yeah. So the 29th of June.
And so this is basically the exit interview for Channel 9. I just walked into your office right now, decided to do it right now.
Okay.
So we're going to do it right now.
What do you want to know?
Channel 9 style. No preparation.
No prep?
Good.
I've cleaned out most of my office. This is the cleanest you'll ever see my office.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be cleaner than my new office because the first thing I'm going to do is dump out my old office out of the box.
So what happened? I mean,
What
people
happened?
want to know. What are you doing? Why are you leaving Channel 9? Why are you leaving Microsoft? I mean, what's going on here?
Because of this kid. No, he lives down in Petaluma, California. So every other weekend we would fly down to see him, and that was costing us quite a bit of money and time. You know, it took 8 hours just to get down there and get back. So.
Okay.
So. And that was wearing on us. So that's one thing.
Okay.
Two. Hey, Channel 9 proved that there's something going on. There's, people with cheap video cameras are building audiences, and when you build audiences, you can do interesting things for those audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And with those audiences, Rocket Boom says they're selling ads that are about $85,000 a week, and that's almost as much as you and I make in a year. So
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's something interesting happening out there, and I want to go and see if it really is as interesting as it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I started talking to a small Silicon Valley startup with 19 people,
Mm-hmm.
and found that I enjoyed being around them and thought that they had an interesting thing going on, and I wanted to see if we could make it go.
So, I mean, let's talk about, Microsoft, right? Because this is an exit interview.
Yeah.
But it's Channel 9
can't talk
style.
about Google?
We'll talk, yeah, sure, why not? PR doesn't matter anymore, right? You're gone.
My son will tell you all about Apple.
You got that pout on. That's about right. Hang loose. So, let's talk about about Microsoft and your experience here. I mean, so what do you think? Like, you had no idea when you got hired.
I had no idea.
2 years from now, you'd be in a position where you could be a vice president at a pod tech company, podcast. And what's going on?
Well, blogging happened, and along with it, all the other social stuff that's going on. And it's a disruptive mechanism, media. It's a disruptive technology, if you want to call it that. There's a book. Oh God, who wrote it? I'm gonna be bad. Anyways, there's a book called Disruptive Technology that explains that sometimes new things come along that completely change everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the word of mouth network that we tap into on Channel 9 and on blogs has been doubling every 5 months for the last 5 years. And now it's becoming an interesting number. When I first started blogging, there was only 200 blogs that I knew about, and now there's 50 million, or more. We really can't count them all because, like China, we don't know how many there are behind the Chinese firewall.
So you don't think blogs are a fad?
My best friend asked me that told me that back when I started, 5 years, more than 5 years ago. No, they're not, because of the influence of search engines on them. If you start a blog and you get people linked to you, now you get found in search engines, and that's completely a new media that didn't exist, 20 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, if I wanted to get my ideas to you, I would have to talk a newspaper editor into printing them, or I'd have to talk CNN or ABC to display them. And you know as much as anybody that talking committees and doing things is really tough.
Sure.
And now anybody can write whatever they want on their blog.
But that-
they don't
but
have
that-
to have a committee.
Okay, but that brings up an interesting point, because it's one thing to have Scobleizer, geek blogger.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to be a representative of a company talking about things that you might not necessarily know what you're talking about. And this isn't you specifically, but the point is, I mean, this is the interesting thing about corporate blogging, right? You work for, let's say, Microsoft.
Yeah.
You have a blog.
Yeah.
You work, let's say, in the Visual Studio team.
Yeah.
Yet you're writing blog entries about decisions that were made in the Office team and why they're wrong. Now, I would argue that, is that useful? Is that helpful? Is it the right thing to do to maybe talk about products that nothing about? Like, is there a line to be drawn?
Whenever I wrote something, I knew.
No, I'm not talking about you.
But even other people.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, if you write something that you don't know anything about, and you're sharing something that doesn't ring true with a lot of people, you'll hear an immediate and harsh reaction from your audience. Okay. And your audience will probably include members of the team you're talking about, right?
Sure.
Who will have more credibility about their product than you do. So if after I leave Microsoft, if I say the Channel 9 team is blowing it, well, you can come and defend yourself, right? And say, hey, Scoble, you aren't on the team anymore. You don't know what you're talking about anymore. Here's the facts. Lay out the facts.
Sure.
But yeah, I haven't seen too much of that. I mean, there's been people who've done things with blogs that have hurt their companies or hurt their own careers. I mean, when I wrote my book, I interviewed quite a few people who got fired from jobs for blogging, or for not really blogging, but for being idiotic.
For being stupid.
For being stupid. And you can be stupid in a whole lot of ways.
Totally.
And we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You can get fired a whole lot of ways. You don't need a blog to get fired.
Got it.
So there's a implicit rule when you're a corporate employee, whether you're working for a guy with 19 employees or a guy with 60,000, that you have to be smart and you have to think about the consequences of your actions. The people who I interviewed couldn't tell me the answers to two questions. One, they didn't know they were taking a risk. And anybody who does something in the public eye with a company logoed shirt, or in my case, my blog had Microsoft on it. You all knew I worked for Microsoft. Anybody who does work like that has to know they're taking risk. And it's sort of like a gold miner. If you're digging gold out of the ground, you're taking risk when you use dynamite, right? You can blow your arm off with dynamite. That's part of the job, right? Yeah. It doesn't stop you from doing the job. It just means you got to be aware that when you're talking to an audience of whether it's 50 people or 5,000, that you're taking risk. And if you say something that the audience doesn't like, it'll probably get back to your boss. Or if you say something about your boss, it'll get back to your boss. Believe me, this word of mouth network now is so efficient that I can get something from here to China and back so fast. And the second question that they couldn't answer was, what did you expect the company to do? What was the end goal that you wanted the company to do? If you're talking about Steve, like I told Steve Ballmer, he wasn't a good leader in one situation about a gay rights bill, right? And when I wrote that, I knew I was taking a risk. I knew I could get fired. I knew that my boss might get mad at me. I knew that there
PR would come down on you.
I don't know. I just knew that I was taking. I didn't know what the risk was, how big the risk was, but I knew I was taking risk because I was speaking out against an executive of the company. And two, I had a very specific reason for doing that, and I had a very specific goal that I wanted him to do, a thing I wanted him to do.
Okay.
And a lot of it, the people who got fired, one, they didn't know that they were taking a risk, and two, they couldn't tell me a good reason why they did it.
They just wanted attention.
They wanted attention, and a lot of people assume that I want attention.
But you do want attention. You like attention.
But you've got to have those two questions answered. And if it's just look at me or link to me or I want to be the next Dvorak or the next I don't know. the next Charles Torrey.
Well, no. But let's look at it this way.
Well, people look at you and you do some interesting things and take some risks, right? But,
yeah, but here's what I mean. Here's what I mean by that. It's
Yeah.
not a criticism. It's something that is interesting in the blogging phenomenon. And you know that I've always felt this way because you and I have argued about this. But there's so much of the thing that kind of concerns me about corporate blogging. On one hand, is that there's a company like Microsoft. It's a lot of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you have a really enormous
By the
me
way,
situation,
it's not just Microsoft.
of course. But
I've
let's step back. Microsoft
I've talked
is
to the
cool.
world's greatest companies lately, and they're all about me. There's a reason. In fact, every company I've met with, from and I won't go into the names, but big ones,
Okay, sure.
You
Please don't
fly
go
on
into
the-
names because we'll have to edit it.
You fly on their airplanes. You buy at their stores.
Come on, dude.
So, but they're big ones, and
Uh-huh.
and they all ask me, how can we do a Channel 9? And Channel 9, they say, broke through. It did something different. It got noticed. It was, it was innovative.
Yeah.
They use those kinds of words with me, and they say we want to do our own Channel 9. But then I start asking, well, can I come over to your shop for a week and just shoot video and go around the halls without PR following me around? And they go, oh no, oh no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And even if I could, let's say you were an intern at some big car company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you take a camcorder into the company and you start interviewing people on the factory line. Oh, can you tell me how you build an engine? What's cool about it? What's cool about our latest Corvette engines? Or whatever. And what's the first thing that employee's gonna ask? Who are you? And where is your PR approval? And have you talked to the lawyers? What are you doing? And why are those questions going to be asked? Because we're all about protecting our individual careers. We don't want people to hurt us, and we know that lens or somebody writing something can hurt us. Because we've seen it happen, right? And so we resist it. We put our
But it can also help us, and we've seen how that Channel 9 has helped Microsoft.
But most people, the fear factor is far higher than the help factor. And, it's like, why don't people feel good about going on stage and speaking at conferences or speaking at a user group? Most people, if you study the surveys, most people find public speaking to be harder or more scary than paying taxes or dying. Most people don't like talking in front of other people, especially large groups of people. I had to learn that skill, right? Don Box, you should go and ask Don Box about the first time I spoke in front of 2,000 people, and my knees were shaking, my hands were shaking, and I was totally freaked out. And he's like, why are you freaked out? It's because I'm not you, man. It's like, well, just practice. You'll get used to being up there, and then you'll start just talking to us like you talk to your friends, And I think I just got over that. But anyways, where was I going? Every corporate employee has a me, that don't hurt me, man. Just how are you going to use that video? How are you going to use my name?
But let's talk about that for a second. I mean, would Mini Microsoft, for example, have been less effective if the person who is Mini Microsoft just blogged openly and honestly that my name is X and I work in, say, the Office team? I don't know who this person is or where he works, but so. Well, certainly the point is, would it help?
Anonymity is interesting. There's one side you can certainly.
Are you
say,
Mini Microsoft?
No.
You had to get that out of the way.
No, and
right.
and actually you can ask Jay Green at Business Week because he knows both of us.
Okay.
He's the only guy I know who actually knows who Mini Microsoft is, and he wouldn't tell me who it is.
Okay,
but he can
well,
at least
good.
he can at least tell you that it's not me.
Okay.
Anonymity is interesting. I've called Mini a coward in the public. I think if you really want to change something, sign your freaking name to it and say, let's change it together. you know,
Mhm.
and here's who I am, and here's who you are, and let's get together and figure out how to change it.
Mhm.
By not doing that, it doesn't give me the opportunity to go and ask him about his ideas or
Mhm.
augment his ideas. Now, because he's doing it with comments open,
Mhm.
there's some of that. You can certainly email him and talk to him about what he wants to do.
Mhm.
But I think the corporations need leaders who are willing to put their names on things and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, I stand for this."
Take a risk.
Well, it's risky behavior, and this gets back to the me. Minnie is like has the best of both worlds, right? He gets to mouth off without having any of the risk.
So maybe he's really smart.
He might be, but then he's also not getting any of the credit for the work he's doing either. So,
His brand is right. So
yeah, but what can he do with that brand? Can he put, can he actually?
Well, for example, other companies like
can he actually get 4 or 5, or a great rating as an employee?
No.
His manager might think he's a crappy employee, but he has this other thing he's doing.
he certainly has a lot of time to blog. He better not be on the Windows team. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But
He seems to blog only at nights. I've watched.
I'm just playing.
But still, there is that too. But it's like, I don't know. I'd rather be able to talk to the guy and discuss his ideas with him. And I think, at least at Microsoft, ideas here are argued out. You can go into Bill Gates' office, maybe not physically, but through the Think Week paper site.
Mm-hmm.
You can write him a whole paper and say, Bill, you're screwing up the company, and here's my ideas on how to change the company and how to, come out with a web service that's going to kick ass and get billions of users. He might not agree with it, but it's up on the Think Week paper, and other people can go, hey, that guy's right,
Yeah.
And in fact, I was just reading some of those papers. They're awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see how Bill answers them, and how his technical assistant answers them, and how other people in the company answer them. This company loves ideas because that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Every single office is just like this. It's a guy sitting in a chair, looking at a screen, typing his ideas,
Mm-hmm.
saying, my idea for the world looks like this, And so if you can't fight out ideas, you have nothing else.
Mm-hmm. So, were you surprised how flexible a company like Microsoft, with so much to protect, so much IP to protect, is so easygoing when it comes to blogging? I mean, think about it. If you're a Microsoft employee, it's as hard to start a blog as just going to MSDN blog.
No, it's not. And this comes from studying the history of how Microsoft got big.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft got big because they listened to customers. And a lot of people out there think, oh, Microsoft got big because they own a monopoly, or they forced customers to upgrade, or no. Go back to the 1970s, the 1980s, even into the 1990s. Microsoft was a little tiny company, riding the back of this big, huge IBM company, And how did they get from a little tiny, small little P to a big company? By listening to customers and talking with them and going to conferences and having news groups. Where did I first get really excited about Microsoft stuff was joining the CompuServe forums in the early 90s and seeing that, hey, a developer on the outside could tell Microsoft, oh, your product sucks, go fix it, and a Microsoft guy would answer it. So they had that as part of the genetic code here, the corporate culture, was you better listen to the customer, and you better be out there explaining yourself and interacting with the customer, hanging out with them. And I think that just led to a natural progression. When blogging came along, it was just another tool to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there will be other tools that come along. Video is certainly a strong one.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the ability to distribute hour-long videos, done with a cheap camcorder.
Mm-hmm.
And not only you do, but the customers are getting
Absolutely.
that ability now too. So they can say, "Hey, look at new Office 2007. I
Mm-hmm.
love this ribbon thing, but I hate this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fix that." And
Totally.
And if the Office team doesn't listen, then that leaves a business opportunity for somebody else to jump in
Yeah.
and start another Microsoft. And believe me, Silicon Valley wants to start another Microsoft. I remember meeting John Doerr, the guy who founded Google, and he said, hey, if you can find me another Microsoft, I'll fund that. Because I want another Microsoft. You know? And I said, I answered smartass. You know, I said, I already found a new Microsoft. I'm already inventing a new Microsoft. I'm doing it inside Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh yeah, right. Yeah. But we've done something innovative and different inside a big company, and that's still pretty rare in today's culture.
It's still pretty rare, and I would argue that when we first started Channel 9, PR wasn't very excited.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
No.
So
probably still isn't very excited.
Still isn't. However,
you might get some emails. What the hell are you doing an exit interview with Scoble for? You know?
That's fine. This is going to be on Channel 9. Though.
We actually
and
haven't.
That's the risk I'll take.
For a year now, we haven't gotten any heck. You know, because
no, we
proved
we're responsible.
Yeah.
But the point I was trying to extrapolate, get onto, is that it's a blessing and a curse to be approved by PR, in the sense that they've realized that while we could use this as a channel, particularly marketing and overt marketing, to market to our customers. Because now we have this big customer base on Channel 9. Why don't we, market to them? Let's leverage Channel 9. And I've seen stuff all over the forums this year about Channel 9 as a marketing site. You guys have become too marketing, too overt. You and I have had arguments. And now that you're going to be leaving, we're going to go dev hardcore. And we'll see if that works. If it doesn't work, then maybe we'll let product managers on again. But
I think that's smart, actually, because the real power of this medium is that there's no intermediaries. You can walk right into the guy who built SharePoint and say, why did you do that? You know? And there's nobody in between you and him. And everybody gets then to ask their question. In fact, now that I'm on the outside, I'm going to be asking my own question.
Excellent. I hope so.
What the hell, Charles? Why didn't you ask him about this?
Well, check this out. One of the things that we're going to do this year on Channel 9 is we're going to enable video comments. So I'm expecting you to post some.
I will.
So Scoble will still be on Channel 9. I hope you do stay, man. And,
I will. I love Channel 9. Well, I love the community there. I love guys like Jamie and all the others. Ian. I was lucky enough to get to fly around the world and go and have dinners with some of these guys, and they're really great.
Yeah.
So.
We met a bunch at the PDC also.
Yep.
Which was fun. So, I mean, where would you like to see Channel 9 evolve? Like, how would you like to see it evolve?
Get more granular, I guess. I mean, Channel 9 was when we first started it. I always wanted to do a corporate tour, because if you come to Seattle, right, and you're visiting, the first thing I'm going to do is take you to the Boeing corporate tour, the 747 factory. It's awesome. It's the world's largest building by volume, and you get to see how they're building 747. You get to watch the guy punching rivets into the 747, and if he screws up, you get to watch it. Right? I'm not flying on that plane no more.
Hopefully, he's not talking and smoking a cigarette and kind of like looking around.
He better not. If you see that he's drinking whiskey on the job, you can go, hey, why is that guy drinking whiskey down there on the factory floor? I don't want to fly in your planes no more. And by having that kind of transparency, first of all, they have a factory, right? Microsoft really doesn't have a factory. I mean, we have a bunch of computers underneath desks. We have, cheap desks, and we have a guy typing his ideas into the computer screen. There is no factory here. I mean, there's maybe a CD pressing plant somewhere, but even that's going to go away, right?
But it's an idea factory, so in essence, that's what we do.
Yeah. So, but what I wanted to do was do a tour like Boeing has, but instead of seeing the machinery of how to build something, you get to talk to the guys who are actually building it, and I think we did an awesome job of that. I think we, I remember getting tours with Bill Hill and Anders, and and even getting to see Bomber and Gates. We got around the company pretty well. We did 700 interviews in 2 years, something like that.
Totally.
So out of 60,000 employees, you got to touch almost every group here. I'm not sure if we missed a group that we didn't get to, but we've touched most of the groups. Now it's like, well, okay, we've had the factory tour. Now it has to change to how did that rivet get designed? You know, who designed the gun on it? Who, you know, and that's where you're going to get interesting discussions about with customers and people who are designing product, and get a deeper understanding of the technology that, you know, some guys typing into the screen. So yeah, that I would probably make it more granular. You know, instead of talking about WPF in an hour video, talk about one specific slice of it. The problem is then it tends to be turned into training, and we have a whole training staff. We have a whole webcast staff here that's for training. So it's going to be a tough challenge. It's going to be interesting to see how you do it, because you know we've done the factory tour now.
Totally.
You know, yeah.
Well, I think we
there's
still have a lot of developers to meet.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, we still have, there's a lot of people at Microsoft who actually write software.
Yeah.
And it's not a diss against any of the other positions in the company.
Yeah.
But there's an awful lot of software design engineers and test engineers and architects that no one knows about, that do phenomenal work, work long hours, and they're really artisans.
Yeah.
And they don't go to conferences, they don't interact with customers. And so what I'd like to do this year is to leverage Channel 9 a little more to give them a medium to interact with customers. Yeah. The caveat being that we ask them to please interact with Niners when we release their videos. And if we can do the whole video comment thing, they could actually create their own responses and post them to Channel 9. You could actually have videos talking to each other, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going to a forum and watching video conversations?
Yeah.
Could be weird. It could be funky, but it's, you know, we have to try to push the boundaries somewhere.
The thing that, if that really took off, that would let people do really interesting training. Like, for instance, you know, when Halo 3 comes out, you can go over and talk to Matt on the Halo team, and he'll give you the overview, the big picture, you know, here's what Halo 3 is, and takes you on a tour and shows you it, and talks a little bit about it. But maybe a customer, you know, maybe all on the outside go, how did they build that truck? You know, I just saw this weird truck in Halo 3, and I want to know how he did that, because I want to do that in my own little game, or I just want to know more about it, so when I see a truck, I know what its properties are. Maybe it has an Easter egg, or, you know, hey, you can honk it if you know how to push 5 keys, you know, or something.
Sure.
You know, so but by meeting the guy who built that truck, or the girl, I can ask her, you know, a question like, how's that truck built? What are some of the interesting properties about it? Well, then she can take another camera and show you more about that truck, and spin around the truck and say, hey, did you know you could do this? Or did you know the best way to blow this thing up is to hit it behind the front wheel? Or, you know, and so now I'm learning a lot more than I would have if I had just had that overview video.
Understood. So let's continue on with the exit interview.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be in 5 years? Like, what would you consider being successful for you in 5 years? Back here at Microsoft again? Hopefully you won't be here. Because I wonder what that would mean.
You don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to take a 5. Sanjay asked me, you know, to go off for a weekend and think about a 1 year, a 5 year, and a 25-year plan. You know, because he says that's sort of what he does. He goes off for a week and he just thinks about, what do I want to do in 25 years? What do I want the world to be like? What do, you know, and what.
Now, for the audience, Sanjay is the VP that funded Channel 9.
Yeah, and he has 1,200 people working for him, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I can look out further than 2, because I'm more somebody who looks at the world and what is actually happening in it, and I'm not one of the visionaries who drives the leading edge. I follow the visionaries and sort of say, oh, that's going to work and that's not.
Okay.
And sort of build things.
So what do you think is going to work
on top of what they built, right?
So what's going to work with video casting then?
Well, I have two problems.
Mm-hmm.
One, I have to build a distribution network. Channel 9's a distribution network, right? And you were the distribution guy. You know, a lot of people don't know what you did, but you built the technical distribution, right? When you click on a send, you made it happen, right? I didn't write the code that made something happen when somebody came to look for them. And two, coming up with interesting content, you know, and coming up with the Howard Stern or the Charlie Rose or you know, or the Rocket Boom now. Rocket Boom is a famous video broadcast.
So we get some of that advertising dollars, Amanda, since this is on Channel 9. You're going to float us some of that cash since we gave you some advertising. Or we'll just edit it out. All right, continue.
So that's my challenge. I'm on the content side. So somebody else is going to build the site and the apps that get loaded on Media Center or on the iPod or on the cell phone that will go and gather the video and make it easy to find and stuff like that. I'm going to be looking for the next Rocket Boom or the next Howard Stern. You know, Howard Stern made how many millions, hundreds of millions of dollars?
Yeah,
if I can find one or two of him, I'm going to be set. You know.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So you're basically running. You're running a team.
I'm running a team.
Like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
You don't know yet.
Come and see me in 3 weeks, and I'll tell you what I'm doing.
Sounds good.
I'm going to be stretching my own skills. One of the reasons I was excited because I get to try some new things that I've never tried. How do I build a team? You know, I've never really done that. I've watched like Jeff build a team, or Vic build a team, or Sanjay build a team, but I've never really understood, you know, what that means myself and what I could bring to the puzzle. So
cool.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch whether I succeed or fail at doing new things that I've never done before. You know?
So would you work at Microsoft again?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I have to think about that one for a second. Would I work for Charles? Yes. It's a big company, so you know it's hard to say would I work for Microsoft. Yeah, if I had the right opportunity, I certainly would work here again. It's an awesome company, awesome resources. You know, I mean, Microsoft has a lot of things that startups don't. You know, presidents come here. You know, the president of China ain't going to visit my startup in Silicon Valley. And if he does, then you know something really wild has happened in my life. Okay, but you know, we have a lot of resources in a big company. You know, when you have 60,000 people working on things, you know, I didn't have to worry about paying the bills. I didn't have to worry about health care. I didn't have to worry about the power coming on in my room, you know, or buying a computer and setting it up. I didn't have to do any of that. Where if you join a startup, you know, I just visited a startup here in Seattle, 2 days ago, and the CEO was building an air conditioner. You know? So, and that's the startup. You know, here, believe me, Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer, they don't build the air conditioning anymore in the company. Somebody else does that, right?
Sure.
So, you know, a startup is a completely different set of skills that you need to work on. Anyways, long answer is yeah, I would come back here.
Cool.
It's an awesome company.
So again, in the exit interview style, I mean, I actually don't know what they ask in exit interviews, but
they didn't ask me much actually. I had my exit interview yesterday. Yeah.
What did they do? They just had you sign something?
Here they have a survey. We have my survey.
PR alert.
No, this is not PR. This is what is your actual reason for leaving? I hated Jeff and Charles.
Good. Now the truth comes out.
Yeah. What is your secondary reason for leaving? Jeff and Charles didn't pay me enough. No, I'm just kidding. What do you plan to do next? We've covered that. If you're leaving for another company, what is most compelling about what they offer? Stock options. No, a chance to be down in the Bay Area, you know.
Of course.
Sunny weather.
It's been beautiful the past couple weeks.
Oh, it has been, you know. That's why they always bring you to recruit at Microsoft. They always bring you in May through August, you know.
Yeah.
That's recruiting season. So if you're getting recruited, know that. The weather is always awesome here, May through August.
Think North Sea.
What could Microsoft have done to prevent you from leaving?
Well, answer the question.
Give me the keys to Bill Gates' corporate jet.
Then you would have stayed?
Yeah, because I could have flown down to see Patrick.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been fun, huh? Patrick, you think that would be fun to go for a ride on Bill's jet?
No.
No. Okay.
No? All right.
Maybe Steve Jobs that jet.
See, he's still a Steve Jobs love child.
Huh, interesting.
Microsoft's total compensation is fair, including stock, benefits, base pay. Yeah. Agree, and the reason I don't strongly agree is sometimes the value that somebody brings to the company changes, and it's hard for the company to readjust itself to that new value structure.
Okay.
Microsoft offered me enough opportunities for career growth. Extremely agree. There's no place in the world, I believe, like Microsoft. You're working with awesome, smart people. I mean, people who aren't just smart, because you can meet a lot of people who are smart, but people who invented graphics drivers and you know, like we interviewed a guy who wrote 2 operating systems, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, and Bill, you know, and even if Bill is going on and not going to be around as much, I mean, the people here are unbelievable. So, and it's those people that you feed off of that make your value more. You know?
Totally.
I mean, if you hang around smart people, you're going to get smarter.
Mhm.
Just by hanging around them, you know, you're going to say smarter things. You're going to look smarter.
True.
You know.
Plus, they enabled us to do Channel 9.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Microsoft supported my work-life balance. Work-life balance. Actually, you know, at a big company, you have a more normal work-life balance. You know, you can actually go home by 7 p.m. You know, or I stayed late a lot though, and I did my blog at night and weekends. And to me, this is not a job. You know, a job is replacing roofs in Dallas in 110-degree weather. That's a job. That's, you know, that's something you better pay me a lot of money to do, because I ain't gonna do it. What we do here is a lot more fun, and so it was always hard for me to say that what I do at work is not what I would be doing at home anyways. Rate the hours and pressures of your job with 1 to 5 being 5 being the highest. Occasionally it would be pressure, and the pressure came from realizing there's an audience. You know, it's like stepping on stage at the PDC. You don't do that without thinking about what you're going to say, without, you know, thinking about the consequences of what you're going to say, and thinking about the opportunities. You know, it's like buying a Super Bowl commercial. You don't do a Super Bowl commercial and then not hire an agency to build you a commercial, right? It's like, that would be a waste.
We'll do it for Channel 9.
Yeah.
Walk in with the camera and, hey.
Yeah, but, you know, you better have an idea of what you're doing, you know? And when people are watching, including people 5 levels up above you, yeah, it creates its own pressure. Anyways, reviews, promotions, and projects are awarded on job performance. Yes. Yeah. People on our team here who ship interesting things get rewarded. I believe that. People who go to the beach every day, you know, don't. You know, luckily, we haven't had anybody like that on Channel 9. So, rate the effectiveness of your manager. What should I say about you?
Well, be honest.
Actually, I said it on my blog. He's the best boss I've ever had, and I mean that with all sincerity. He never got in my way, and he always cleared path for me, you know, to walk in. And that's what you want with a boss. You want a boss, you know, it should be like an ice-breaking ship. Boss should go ahead of you, break ice, get things out of your way, and help you do your job. You know.
Great. Yeah. Agreed.
And Jeff always did that for me, so I always appreciated him. Select 2 to 3 areas your manager can improve in. And they give like career development support, communication, cross-group collaboration, nothing. Setting goals, smart, hardworking, team advocacy. That's a hard one with Jeff. You know, I would say nothing, because I don't see where I could have made Jeff a better person. You know, I would have liked. I don't know. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked his job.
Maybe. You liked his job?
and that wasn't going to happen. So I don't know. You know, I don't know. I can't answer that question. That's interesting. Please select 2 to 3 areas your manager excelled in. And I won't read the list, but he is the one guy at Microsoft who ships stuff. And there's a few other guys like that. And they're the ones who I came to recognize were real leaders.
Mm-hmm.
That they got shit done. They did it with a minimum of politics and with a minimum of bureaucracy, and they enabled their employees to become stars,
mm-hmm.
to build, to become better than they were when they joined the company. And it's not every day you find managers like that.
Mm-hmm.
So. Did you discuss your career development with your manager? Oh yeah. Diversity is valued at Microsoft. Strong, and diversity is an interesting one that we can talk about. I think it is, but that's an area where I think Microsoft could do better. And here's what I mean. This is a geek-run culture,
mm-hmm.
developer-run culture. Even with the MBAs that are involved and the salespeople and the
mm-hmm.
field. It still is at heart. The people who get valued here are people who build shit. You know, build stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you don't have to.
You can say shit.
Can I? All right. Yeah. If you're this deep into the video, you're going, whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
so, but sometimes other valuable ideas don't get heard in that mix. And I had a real interesting experience with a model in France. Nina. She actually has a blog of her own. And she looked at my smartphone. She looked at my smartphone and goes, well, that's a pretty cool smartphone, but it doesn't have the women's touch to it. It doesn't have fashion on it. You know, there's nothing. And she actually gave me a bunch of ideas that I sent to the team that she thought she could make the product a little bit better so that she could market it and get her friends to use it. Mm-hmm. Where right now she says her friends probably wouldn't be interested in carrying this around in their purses. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's functional, i.e. the geeks ran this project, but it's not fashionable. There's my wife calling. Well,
interesting.
That was funny. But it's not pretty. It's not fashionable. And I think products now are changing from ones that used to be feature driven to ones that are fashion driven. Look at the
Razor.
Which one?
Razor.
The Razor, the iPod.
I mean, like the
iPod. iPod has.
Wow, she wants to talk to you, Scoble.
She does.
Well, should we pause it or just let it ring?
Yeah, I just let it ring. I did this on videos too.
You're gonna get in trouble when she sees this.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
What was I thinking?
The Razor.
Razor, iPod.
Sure.
And you've seen several products. iPod has no features to it. There's products with more features out there, right? There's products that have FM tuners. The iPod doesn't have an FM tuner. There's products that let you record better quality audio than the iPod lets you record. The iPod doesn't do that. The iPod has very select set of features, but it's fashionable. Mm-hmm. And I think...
And it's usable.
Well, usable... I think the other products are usable too. When you sit down with them, they play audio. You can figure out how to use them. Some people would. She really does want to get hold of me.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to end this interview pretty soon.
Okay.
But but the iPod has fashion and culture going for it. The culture in terms of the marketing. Mm-hmm. The marketing is cultural, and geeks just don't grok that. Why would I hire Eminem to be associated with my product? And I think that's what Channel 9 sort of started a path on, is changing the relationship geeks have with the market. And getting them to think differently. Like, hey, maybe you should build a cell phone that has a better fashion approach to it. Maybe you should hire a model to tell you what she wants in a phone to hand to her friends.
Agreed.
and maybe you should hire a musician to do your marketing rather than somebody who did traditional technology marketing. Yeah, my speakers are sort of fuzzing out. And that's where diversity comes in to help you. If you have a team that has a diverse set of opinions and lifestyles and backgrounds on it, you're going to get some interesting new ideas to the table that might help build a breakout product.
Absolutely.
And I think there are teams here who've done it well. The Xbox team, has that passion and culture, and you can see it's off campus. Right? They're 3 miles away from the main campus, so you can see that there are teams here who've tried a different approach and have done well. So.
Excellent. Cool.
Anyways, that's it.
That was the exit interview. So do you have any suggestions for your blogger compatriots?
Be smart.
Be smart.
Keep being smart, and keep being able to answer those 2 questions. One, know you're taking a risk. This is not when you are on stage at the PDC in front of 10,000 people, and
don't pull your pants down.
Don't pull your pants down.
And on that note,
we better answer this. Or
all right. Well, it's been great having you on Channel 9.
Thanks, man.
And
thanks, Niners. And I'm going to join you in Niners now as a Niner. So.
Excellent, man. Well, take care, Robert.
Thanks.